Now, the bilateral talks between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping comes just 2 days after India and China reached a truce to resume patrolling in disputed areas along the line of actual control in Eastern Ladakh. After 4.5 years of standoff in the region, the two sides have decided to restore patrolling rights in Depsang Plains and Damchok region. This means that Indian troops will now keep a vigil in the north of Ladakh to patrolling point 10 to 13 in Depsang Plains and in Chardingnala of Damchok in the south of Ladakh.
Over the last several weeks, Indian and Chinese diplomatic and military negotiators have been in close contact with each other in a variety of forums. And as a result of these discussions, agreement has been arrived at on patrolling arrangements along the line of actual control in the India-China border areas, leading to disengagement and a resolution of the issues that had arisen in these areas in 2020. And we will be taking the next steps on this.
According to reports, patrolling in these areas will be conducted at a frequency of twice a month in pre-2020 fashion. At least 14 to 15 troops will carry out these vigils to avert any confrontation. Both sides will exchange their patrol programs in advance and modify their date or time in case of any coincidence. As per the agreement, the deployment of troops along the LAC will also be reduced on both sides. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said in the next stage it will work with India to properly implement that resolution as well.
Recently, China and India have maintained close communication through diplomatic and military channels on issues relating to the China-India border. Currently, the two sides have reached a resolution on the relevant issues. China gives its positive approval to this. In the next stage, we will work with India to properly implement that resolution.
The agreement is significant since until a year ago, the Chinese side was reluctant to even discuss these two areas of stalemate after the beginning of confrontations in Eastern Ladakh in May 2020. While this agreement between the two nations will pave the way for non-hostile patrolling in these two areas, reports say the situation in Galwan Valley and Pangong So along the LAC will remain the same, where disengagement of troops will be carried out. The breakthrough in the standoff comes months after India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held talks on LAC with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in July this year. While on the 12th of September, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese Foreign Minister and Special Representative on the sidelines of the BRICS NSA's meeting in St. Petersburg. It was learned that NSA Doval discussed military disengagement on the line of actual control with China on top priority. For more on this, we earlier spoke to Andrew K.P. Long, Chairman and CEO, Andrew Long International Consultants and Investments Limited from Hong Kong. Listen to this.
Let's first be clear on one point. The patrolling protocol agreement doesn't mean that the border disputes between India and China are thereby resolved, nor does it mean that the line of actual control would henceforth be clearly defined. I think these problems are going to remain for a very long time. But what does mean is that both leaders are determined to scale down, to de-escalate the hostile relationship between the two nations. And at a time when the Global South is rising, of which the BRICS summit is a very important platform. Now, the rise of the Global South is a reflection of a changing world order, not that the American leadership would thereby be sidelined or abandoned. America still leads in many different ways. in different areas and arenas, and not least, of course, the still dominance of the US dollar. But then the United States is finding it less and less able to call the shots at all times. And of course, that the nations in the global south are becoming more economically viable, and they're able to safeguard their sovereignty. And that's the idea that the existing world order needs to be modified, are now rallying these countries together. Not that they are going to form a hard, solid bloc, because the idea of blocks doesn't work anymore. It is a multipolar, a multi-dimensional, and interdependent world. But it does mean that there are themes that the developing nations can rally together. Yeah.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.